Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon. Hey guys, video, so back in another feature card, Buddy Fight Deck for Phosphorus. Enjoy, don't like, comment, subscribe, sorry. This time we're covering Hero World Card Burn. Card Burn. Not a deck I particularly cared for. I'm not a fan of Hero World. I think the only deck I actually like from Hero World was what's it called? Dark Heroes, because I just like swords. And then I was fascinated in Genesis, but never really cared. So let's go ahead and get this started. If you wanted a Luminize chant for this deck, because I don't know, you just want to have fun with it when you're playing with your friends. Here it goes. The hand of justice has been dealt by the king born of burning cards. Luminize, hyper card burn. Because you can and you will. And that was really cool because the echo of the place I'm recording this at was nice. Anyways, let's go ahead and start off with the deck. First up, you have your obvious Hero World flag. It's just the flag for Hero World. Use Hero World and generic cards. Then we have our Buddy in Card Burn, size 1 with 4,000 attack, 3,000 defense, and a critical of 1. And it's an act. You may pay 4 gauge, put a card Serpent, card Rhino, and this card from your field into the drop zone. If you do, ride Ultimate Card Burn from your hand or deck, and if you search your deck, shuffle it, and to ride this card, you pay 2 gauge. Okay, so from what I've seen of this deck, if you pay the 2 gauge to ride him, you're probably in the losing position, because I highly doubt you would need to ride this, but, you know, it's in case, like, you need an item to equip so you can attack more times, which is fine with me. Not to mention the fact that there are cards in this deck that would benefit if you did end up riding him, so it's not the end of the world to ride him. And he gets you out a really strong card. Downside is he requires 4 gauge to do so, which is the exact reason me and my friend joke around saying if you're playing Hero World, you have to have a Hyper Energy at 4 copies, otherwise you're not playing Hero World. And you have to have Card Serpent himself and Rhino on the board, but still a good skill. Get you a big monster out in the end, so why not? This is the Buddy, because it can be. It also is the easiest card out of all of them to summon. Then move on to our main deck. First up, we have 2 copies of the size 0 Thief Cat. Size 0, 2k power, 1k defense, critical of 3. Pay a gauge to call at the end of the battle that it attacked, put it to bottom. Or sorry, at the end of the battle of this card. It doesn't have to be the one it attacked. It could have been attacked into, and if it survived, it goes to bottom. So while it does have low stats, it has critical of 3. That means it can do the most damage possible for a size 0. That's good. This deck can get a lot of gauge if you play it right. I mean, in this deck, there's one of 2 ways it's going to go down. Either you brick miraculously and then you don't see any of your gauge getters. And considering what most of this deck is, I'd be damned if you didn't get any of your gauge getters during that entire game. Or you get a lot of your gauge getters, and at this point, this is just a free call, and then you can just start swinging face for 3 crit with a size 0. So all around, it's nice, even though it does go away at the end of the battle, which sucks. That means you have to recall it, but considering it's going to bottom, you're not going to see it again unless you do one of the cards that has a shuffle ability. It does damage if you can get it through, so all around, nice card to have, especially because it's a size 0, so you can call a lot more monsters with it on the board. Then we have 4 copies of Ocean Deity / Shark, size 0, 1k power, 3k defense, critical of 1. Act, put it from your hand or field into the soul of a field card you ride on. So, yep, I believe there are a total of 3 cards in this deck that you can ride with. Card Burn, Ultimate Card Burn, and Ultimate Cardboard D Wing. There might be one other, but I'm pretty sure those are the only 3. So the fact that he can just go into any of their souls is really nice. And then if this card is in the soul of a card you're right on, that unit gets plus 1k power, 1k defense. Okay, so 1 is not a once per turn. So if you shove 4 of them into the soul of 1 card, it does stack. That will do absolutely nothing for Card Burn. I mean, it will make him an 8k swinger and a 7k defense, which is good and all, but not remotely near the stats of his other forms. You see, that's the weird part. The other ones on their base stats are better than Card Burn with 4 copies of this in soul. That's the sad part. Card Burn still doesn't match up to them, but with them, it still makes them pretty good because it increased their defenses to higher extents and it allows them to hit over more things easier. So around Slash Shark is a really nice size 0. Plus, again, it's a size 0 and that's a benefit, so you can call more things like a size 2 maybe and a size 0 if you don't have anything. So all around Slash Shark's a good card and I run out of 4 of. It's also here for another specific card, which is why I run Slash Shark. Speaking of which, also Tiger Thrust. Here's the thing. Slash Shark was going to get him regardless. Tiger Thrust got him simply because of that one card I'm referring to. So Beast Deity Tiger Thrust, size 1, 4k power, 1k defense, critical of 2. Act, put him from hand or field into the soul of a card you ride on. Same thing as Slash Shark, but his different skill is if this card is in your soul of a ride card, that card gets penetrate. Okay, so it does something for Card Burn and Ultimate Card Burn because those 2 don't have penetrate, but the one you're going to be on most of the time inherently has penetrate. So if you're on him, you use the skill to get him into soul so you can use the card that benefits from having stuff in soul. So all around, it's good. It can, I guess, add soul to stuff, making them have, well, it doesn't give them soul guard, but they have soul guard inherently, then they could survive the attacks easier if your opponent managed to destroy them. Not to mention, he gives benefits to the other parts of your deck that aren't ultimate cardboard D-Wing, so while you are waiting for him to get onto the board, Tiger Thrust can make everyone else slightly more dangerous by giving them penetrate. So all around, Tiger Thrust is good. You're running for that one specific card that I'm referring to, which I will get to later, but at the same time, he is good on his own merit, so might as well run him at a 4 of. Then we run 4 copies of the most disappointing card in this deck, Card Serpent. So size 1, 5k power, 2k defense, critical of 2. He is the exact reason he's here. Card burn requires him to summon ultimate card burn. If the combo that this deck is supposed to be for wasn't here, then I wouldn't run him. Because since Card Burn requires Ultimate Card Burn to actually have a skill, that means I have to run Card Serpent and Card Rhino to use that skill. If I wasn't focusing remotely on Ultimate Card Burn, Card Serpent would not be in this deck simply because he's a vanilla. I know he was introduced when Hero World was first introduced, but the other two have skills. Why couldn't he have a skill? Why? Why couldn't it just be an on-place, draw a card, discard one? I don't know. I don't know why Bushy did this, but whatever. 4 copies of Card Serpent, the most useless size 1 in this deck. But whatever. Then we have 4 copies of Card Rhino, grade 2, intercept, not grade 2. Sorry, Vanguard on the mind. Size 2, 4k power, 6k defense, critical 2. Okay, decent defense, so we can call it to center if we need to. Wait, oh yeah, to do the Card Burn thing, you're also going to have to ride Card Burn is the thing, because Card Rhino is a size 2 and a Card Serpent's a size 1, and you'll have a total size 4 if you call Card Burn, so you'll have to transform into Card Burn first. But anyways, Card Rhino, his ability is Act, Rhino Crush, pay 1 gauge, and if you do for this turn, he gets plus 2k power and penetrate. So, basically that means he can do damage if he destroys a monster in the opponent's center, so it's really nice that he can do 2 damage, and not to mention that the fact that he'll be swinging for 6k. You will never need this, unless, like, this is the only of the the triplets that you have, or like if you don't have Card Burn, then you don't need this, but otherwise whatever. Card Rhino is still a good card. Like, worst case scenario, if you need another card that has penetrate because maybe Tiger Thrust didn't show up yet, or he's just not doing enough for you, you can at least use Card Rhino, or maybe you just need to increase someone's power just enough so you can do a link attack over a big defense. That's what Card Rhino's for. It's a 4 of. It is mainly a 4 of just because of Card Burn, but let's just pretend he has his own purpose outside of Card Burn. Then we have 4 copies of our buddy, obviously Card Burn. You can run a total of 4 copies of a card with the same name in the deck, but we all know the buddy doesn't count towards the main deck thing, so you can have 4 copies of your buddy and then 1 copy as the buddy monster. So you have 4 copies of Card Burn, obviously. And then we move on to our other size 2, which is Card Wyvern. So Card Wyvern is a size 2 with 6,000 defense, 3,000 power, and a critical of 2. Counteract, if you are ride on Ultimate Card Burn, you may pay 2 gauge and put an Ultimate Card Burn from your field into the drop zone, and this card, so both go to drop. And then if you do ride an Ultimate Cardboard D-Wing from your hand or deck, and if you search your deck, you shuffle it, and it has move. Okay. So first up, move. He can be defensive. Worst case scenario. I don't know why that would be helpful to you unless you weren't on Card Burn remotely, or maybe like you don't have the whole thing, so you just have Card Burn. But hey, you have Wyvern now, so you can move it to the center to be a little bit more defensive. But because that is a counteract, what you can do is, if you happen to have the 6 gauge to do it this turn, because maybe you did Hyper Energy with a bunch of other shit, you can go Card Burn, Card Serpent, Card Rhino, do the crazy combine tactic, go into Ultimate Card Burn, which we're about to get to, swing with Ultimate Card Burn twice because it has double attack, swing with this thing, use this thing skill, pay 2, kill itself, kill Ultimate Card Burn, get Ultimate Card Burn D-Wing, and then swing for a total of 15 damage if they don't block anything. So that's what, 6 attacks in a turn, and at the very least 21 damage, because if D-Wing has 5 crit and it has triple attack, and I know Ultimate Card Burn. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Sorry. 23 critical in total, because this has 2, and then regular Ultimate Card Burn has 3 crit and double attack, and then D-Wing has triple attack with 5 crit. Yeah, so what? 23 crit to face that same turn? Yeah, that's not fair at all. All-around Wyvern's really good. His counteract makes it so that you can multi-attack really well with Ultimate Card Burn, and not to mention the fact that he just helps swing hard with a lot of extra crits down on him, and worst case scenario, he acts as a defender card. So all-around card Wyvern is amazing. I like this card a lot. Definitely a helper to get to D-Wing, considering D-Wing can only be played by Card Wyvern's effect, so 4 of. And then we have Ultimate Card Burn. So, size 3, 12k base, 8k defense, critical of 3. So, this card cannot enter the field other than by the act of Card Burn. Basically, you ain't getting this on the board unless this thing's effect is activated, regardless of what BS you pull. And this card on the field cannot be destroyed nor returned to the hand. So, Basically, the only way they're getting rid of this is if they nullify its abilities, then bounce it or destroy it, or they use a card that says it goes return to bottom, ahem, ahem, time dragons, ahem, ahem, or you use a card like Vandy Husk Destroyer who just says place it into drop zone because that's not counting as destroying apparently. And of course he has the ride and double attack, so he rides for free because, or technically not for free because it's 4 gauge and sack 3, but it's fine because you get the ultimate card burn who stares your opponent down. Like, imagine getting this out on your first turn. That's a terrifying thing to have. Like, that's triple critical 12k. That can swing over a lot. I mean, granted, the ace has been a thing, but like, it can still swing over a pretty decent amount. And it has double attack, so it's at least 6 crit on its own. And it can almost put your opponent into finishing range with your impact. Yes, there is an impact in this deck. So interesting that he can do that all on his own, and not to mention, since he doesn't have penetrate, he actually gains benefits from Tiger Thrust being in the soul, even if he doesn't get soul guard from it, and he'll get some benefits from Slash Shark. So all around, ultimate card burn is really good. You run him out of 3 of, simply because running cards out of 2 of is something I really hate. Like, the cat is a thing. I run the cat out of 2 of just because I had the space for it. But the reason why card burn is out of 3 of is because you start with 2 gauge. You don't want to like just happen to charge 2 of your card burns into the thing, because once they're out of the deck, there's no way to get them back in this deck. There's no form of recycling, and that sucks for you because it's considering D-Wing requires Wyvern to use its skill, and Wyvern requires this to use its skill. That basically means if you lost all this thing, your entire deck's main form of attacking is this. So yeah, that's why you run 3 of them, just so you don't get fucked over at the very start of the game. Then move on to our next card, which is Ultimate Card Burn, D-Wingu. I have no idea what D-Wing stands for. I'm just gonna say it stands for Delta Wing, but whatever, or Drive Wing. I could see Drive Wing. So anyways, it's a size 5, so you ain't calling this thing regardless. See, this thing can't be called either, but at least this one would be able to fit on the board if you could call it. This one can't do shit. So it has 15k power, 10,000 defense, a critical of 3 as well. Oh, I thought you had a critical of 5. Well, never mind then. So it does still do a total of 9 damage. So what was that? 9 damage plus the 6 from this, so 15. Okay, 18 damage. That's still a lot. And then this card cannot enter the field by the act of, except for the act of card Wyvern. And then it cannot be destroyed nor returned to the hand, so same abilities. It has ride, penetrate, and triple attack. So it can do 1 more attack than this boy, and it also has penetrate. So it doesn't need Tiger Thrust, but you still use Tiger Thrust just to get off the impact's better skill. So all around, D-Wing is a very interesting card. It is just powerful as all hell, having that numbers behind it and the defense. Like, most of the time, unless you're playing against someone that's playing stuff specifically from Ace, like, I don't know, Mr. I give plus 1 million to my board at the start of the attack phase and extra crits, you are most likely going to have at least defense to where they are forced to link attack into it, or cards where they're going to have a lot of stuff on their board to make sure that they can hit over it via power with like sheer cards alone. So all around, D-Wing is really nice. Basically a one-man army thing. You really don't need monsters after you summon this, considering everyone else except for Rhino basically becomes a vanilla after this. But all around, D-Wing is nice. I like him. I give him a 3 of. Also, if you're wondering why I don't want Poly Combine card burn, it's my only reason for running it is because I hate cards like that where their numbers are astronomically big. Like, if I remember correctly, his defense and attack are 20k. That means you have to do, like, it's a forest for a lot of decks to link attack into them, and everything outside of Ace that doesn't have, everything outside of Ace would struggle to hit it even with the link attack. So I don't like running those cards because, like, as much as I liked Ace kind of just like broke a threshold and made things kind of dumb for everything that wasn't from Ace. So yeah, I don't run Poly Combine for that reason, but if you want to run Poly Combine, run it out of 3 of. Then we have 4 copies of Call, Super Machine, I think the most important card in this deck. So, pay 1 gauge to cast it, search your deck for up to 1. Brave Machine, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck. You may only cast once per turn. So, here's what your targets for this. You don't need to search either of these 2 because Card Wyvern and Card Burn, respectively, can search for them. So they don't need to be searched, they just stay in deck. But what you use to search for this are either Card Wyvern when you're on this thing or you have a way to get this thing, or Card Burn when you have these 2, or no, in any situation, actually, yeah, no. The only time you will search Card Wyvern in this situation is if you have this ready or you already have this on the board. If you don't have either of those 2 requirements met, you get card burn. Or like if you're missing two of the three material, or one of the three materials and you have the other two, then just get the other one and then go for the card burn move. But otherwise, just get card burn, because card burn will at least be able to ride into something and then you have an extra attacker. So yeah, that's what Call Super Machine is for. You can also use it to get this out of deck just so you don't accidentally charge it via hyper energy. So that's always a thing. So 4 of Call Super Machine makes your ace cards avoid being gauged and also either get you set up or just get you a card for later purposes. So 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of said card, Hyper Energy. Put the top 4 cards of your deck into your gauge. Yep, and you can only cast it once per turn. Like me and my friend jokingly say every time we play Hero World, if you're not running Hyper Energy in Hero World, you're not playing Hero World, because quite literally Hyper Energy gives you free 4 gauge. Why would you not run it? You get like the most consistent gauge count. This card alone acts as the cost for card burn. If you're going second and you do your draw, charge, and draw, you have 3 gauge, you pay 2 to ride card burn, you call these 2, you cast 1 hyper energy, you're at 5 gauge, you use this, you get ultimate card burn out, you're 1 gauge away from being able to use card wyvern. And if you have the set spell that we have, then face up on the field when you do all of this, then you'll have exactly enough gauge to do card wyvern all on your first turn. Yep. Hyper Energy is bullshit and allows for you to do stupid combos, and the second you see one of them, you're basically set for the turn, and you're probably set for game until your opponent starts nuking your stuff. So around, Hyper Energy is a good card. I like it. I think it's good. 4 of in a Hero World deck. And then we have Lend Me Your Strength. It's a spell at 4 copies. Search your deck, choose and use one of the following 2. Either search your deck for up to 1 Brave Machine with card and its card name, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. Okay, so 1, it's free. So good news is, he can search for these 2, so you don't have to waste your time using Call Super Machine to get it, or you can use it to get card burn, card rhino, or card serpent, or card wyvern. So basically everyone in the deck that isn't the size 1s and 0s. Or, if you are ride on a card with card in its card name, put the top 2 cards of your deck into the gauge and draw a card. So, you either can get the remainder, and this is not a once per turn, by the way, so if you have multiple, you can just keep spamming the cast. So, either you get your materials to summon Ultimate Card Burn / Ultimate Card Burn D-Wing, respectively, or you gain 2 gauge and draw a card, because as you can see, gain 2 gauge. Oh, that's the cost for Wyvern. Yeah, you kind of just get the cost for free, so, 4 Lend Me Your Strength, because it's just good. It does everything the deck needs to. That's the thing about Brave Machines. They kind of just get the consistency they want and don't have to ask for it. Then we have 4 copies of our set spell, Super Headquarters, Brave Fort. Anyone else think this reminds them of that one Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel card? The one with, like, flagship thing from Rush? We all know what I'm talking about, right? Like the one flagship thing from Sevens. I forgot what it's called, like Magnet 7 Overroad thing. Not the first one, but the second one. So anyways, Brave Headquarters, set spell remains on the field after you cast it. When your Brave Machine enters the field or rides on you, you gain a gauge. It's a named once per turn ability, so you can't use it more than once. I mean, you can stack it, obviously, if you have multiple, but otherwise, that's just good, just being 1 gauge, because remember what I said earlier. Combine this with 1 Hyper Energy, you can get your entire combo up that I said earlier in that same first turn for you. So that's pretty good. It slowly charges you gauge, so you don't have to slowly rely on Hyper Energy and Lend Me Your Strength to get you the gauge for you. It just gets you gauge, which is nice. And then if your life would become 0, destroy a card you are right on, and if you do, your life becomes 1 and destroy this card. You may only set 1 in your field. Never mind, so you can't stack it at all. But that's pretty good. So worst case scenario, if your opponent is punishing you hard because maybe they've like pushed everything out on you so earlier, maybe you're at the disadvantage and you only have card burn written on you, what you can do is, as a last ditch effort, sack the headquarters, sack the card you're right on, and then survive at 1 life, because your life becomes 1. Now, there are cards that say you cannot revive, and there are cards that say you cannot reduce the damage. To the ones that say you cannot reduce the damage, this gets around them because you still go to 0, but you get to revive. But the ones that say you cannot revive, yeah, those kind of win the game there. But if it's not those, because maybe they're just casting Vanity Zero Blazer to smite you with 10 damage, this will at least save you. So, yeah, Brave Fort, really good. Works during both battle phase and final phase, so they can't just easily kill you with impacts or get around it with impacts. So, all around nice head spell. I like it a lot. Get you the gauge, get you the life so you don't die. 4 of. And then our last card. We run 2 copies of our Impact. Brave Energy, Full Drive! So you mainly cast this card if you are on a ride card and your opponent has 5 or less life. Okay, get this, do the combo I said earlier about like getting this out and then swing with it twice and then swing with this and then use its skill to get D-Wing. Your opponent will probably be at 5 or less life, even if they're playing Dragon's Vi. Pay 2 gauge, deal 2 damage to your opponent. Fuck, that's only 2 damage. You know, the weird thing is too, the number I said earlier was actually 18, I think, because it's 9, 15, okay, it's 17. So barely wouldn't kill Dragon's Vi by 1 life. 19 to 20, 1 life wouldn't kill them. But then you deal damage to your opponent equal to the number of cards in your soul you are ride on. The damage dealt by this cannot be reduced. So basically, if you have, this is why these cards are here, by the way, if you've been stacking these into the soul of whatever you're on right now, let's just say you're on D-Wing and you have a total of 8 of them in soul just because you wanted to make sure you had the ability to do this impact, that means you could do 10 damage when they're at 5 life or less. That cannot be reduced. All around Brave Energy full drive. While it is not necessary to run this, I was going to run Impact Double Slasher, but then I realized you have to be on the OG card burn to do that, so never mind. I mean, not the OG card burn, but ultimate card burn, so yeah, obviously didn't want to do that. So instead of Brave Energy full drive works, it still does a lot of damage. In fact, it can actually do more damage, and not to mention it benefits from some of the deck's filler cards because those were basically placed on there for filler. So around Brave Energy full drive is really nice. I like it. It's a cool impact card, and to be fair, I'm a sucker for impact, so I'm always going to try to run an impact, so 2 of. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, I think this deck is interesting. It's not my personal favorite from Hero World, obviously, because it's card burn. Not saying card burn's bad, just saying I was about to say Destiny Heroes. No, Dark Heroes are better in my opinion because Makuro Shigemine in that one anime scene that I love with my living soul, and Shigemine Infinite Sword, Infinity Death Crest. Why do I remember this for some reason? Anyways, I'm going to here before I go on a longer ramble. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to raise your flag.